You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do?
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So years ago, we predicted this. When you heard around COVID, they were going to stop maybe the SAT or the ACT testing for colleges. We're like, whoa. What about proficiency? Are people going to work? How are they going to tell if someone's proficient? And when we were giving awards and medals and trophies to people not winning for just trying, we predicted there's going to be a problem because people are not going to have that competitive edge. They're not going to try to be the best they could be, even, blow themselves away in terms of knowing, wow, I was able to do this. Just blown away. And so we predicted this would happen. And now we have situations where thousands of professors, this is just in the UC system alone, University of California system, over 1,200 professors are telling the governor that incoming freshmen can't do basic math. And they have to dumb down the advanced courses. UC San Diego, and UC San Diego is really hard to get into and extremely expensive. They reported a jump from 30 students in 2020 to 900 who lacked high school level math. How did they get into UC San Diego? Harvard has to have a remediation math class. Harvard. I got a 1450 on my SAT, a 780 out of 800 in math. And I was told, don't even think about applying to Harvard. Really? Yet they have now remedial math class? Ticks me off. So the governor has been, apparently, Governor Newsom, California, we're being told by the New York Post that he is not going to take a position on this debate of whether we need standardized tests again for University of California admissions. He's calling these stories anecdotes. They say the reports from college professors about students who can't do basic math, it's anecdotal. He wants to see the proof. Now, some of these professors include Nobel Prize winners, leading scientists, and they're warning a severe crisis of incoming freshmen who can't even do fractions. So the educators have to now dumb down calculus and other advanced courses just to get them to pass. What is Newsom saying? Show me the data. He says, I have feelings about this. There's anecdotes about this, but I want to see data. Just go to the playground of a bunch of fifth graders and give them a math problem. You'll see it's not too hard. UC San Diego Senate Administration Working Group last year found a shocking 30-fold increase in college students who lacked basic math skills. Which, by the way, going back to that, Newsom, if you want the data, give them an SAT and look at the scores. Just, there's your data. Give them the test. Professors are blaming the elimination of the SAT and ACT testing in 2020, which hasn't come back for a lot of schools. Critics also are saying that people are rewarding students by grade inflation. According to Zvezdalina Stankova, a math professor at UC Berkeley, she said some students are 5 to 8 years behind in mathematics. Office hours that should be spent discussing integrals instead become lessons on fractions and basic algebra you would expect students to have learned in middle school. So the University of California Board of Regents is expected to take up the issue. According to Linda Darling Hammond, president of the California Board of Education, she says there are some different options for testing if they choose to bring it back. So the governor says they are making some jaw-dropping investments. California is now going to spend more than $28,000 per student annually, which is a 43% increase in which includes a 43% increase in special education spending to a staggering $2.4 billion in their state budget. So they're spending more money, but what happened when you spent the money last year? What did the money go to? What are you teaching the kids? Are there tutors? Are you getting the best textbooks? Should they be doing workbooks and using a pencil instead of doing math on a computer? See, I can't do math on a computer. I have to write it out. I need a paper and pencil with a really good eraser because I screw up a lot. That's how I need to do math. Are these kids not able to do math on pencils and paper? Now, the governor is also having a universal transitional kindergarten program. This rolled out in the 22-23 school year, saving families $14,000 per year. I like the idea of early kindergarten. I think 3 and 4-year-olds could already be slowly exposed to A's, B's, C's, numbers, communication, language skills. I think our 3 and 4-year-olds have the ability to learn. You don't want to make them, calculus experts by 6 years old, but I really do believe that you can, with a preschool, start teaching them. So I'm not really sure what the transitional kindergarten does, but state data is saying less than half of California students are proficient or advanced in math. 37% of students passed in math compared to 48% in reading. Really? Only 37% of students, which means 63% of students are failing math. Newsom thinks that the results this year are going to be an improvement, but still an improvement. Your goal is 100%. So if this 37% passing rate goes up to 42%, he's going to be patting himself on the back. 100% of her. What happened to No Child Left Behind? Quit rewarding people for doing nothing and make kids accountable and get their parents involved. These kids need to learn. 1-877-Dr.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I think I'm done with polls. Now, we're going to see tons of them. I really hate election years. It's just, I mean, you know, Kamala Harris, double-digit lead over Trump. Hillary Clinton, double-digit lead over Trump. Really? One of the latest polls is J.D. Vance losing to a Democrat that's not even running. There's an Emerson College polling survey showing John Ossoff, Georgia senator, who doesn't even want to run for president, beating J.D. Vance 49-44. What are these guys doing with these polls? However, Secretary of State Marco Rubio doing a little better than J.D. Vance, with John Ossoff only leading him by 3 points. So what, now we're going to have John Ossoff also now running on the Democratic side? So these polls are ridiculous. Look what happened with Karen Bass, where it was, Median Strategies decides to do a fake poll, throw it out there, just to see who bites and what happens, because it's their social experiment. So Mayor Bass goes, look, I have a double-digit lead over Nadia Rahman. Look at me. I'm good. And it was a fake poll. In fact, the Thanksgiving-hating socialist Francesca Hung, who was running in the Wisconsin Democratic primary, they say a pollster who had her up 23 points admits to bungling the Wisconsin race and closing up shop, according to the Western Journal. The organization, I wonder if that's also Median Strategies. I want to find out what it is. It's not telling us which one it is. But according to the LA Times, that they're not. They were wrong about left-leaning Democrat, progressive, socialist, communist Francesca Hung. So what the hell is going on here? 23-point lead over David Crowley. Yes, it looks like it was the same. Median Strategies. The whole operation was bogus. So, you know, what other polls did they do? And by the way, that's election interference. These polls are misleading. And is it that they wanted... well, here's the only thing. The Median Strategies, if you really look at what they did and their... I mean, they got attention, but apparently not good attention if they're closing up. But if it was all about let's help the progressive, you know, psychotic candidates, Mayor Bass is running against a progressive Rahman. So you would think they would have then, if that was their intention, put Rahman higher up on the poll. So it's I don't know what they're doing. But it shows that here we are in 2026 with a lot of manipulation, misinformation, and shenanigans going on as it pertains to elections. So let's make sure we have voter ID. Let's make sure only U.S. citizens are voting. No. We can't do that. It's just BS. Going back to J.D. Vance, people are a little concerned. Does J.D. Vance have the pull that Trump does? Of course not. Trump, I mean, depending on how the history books decide to write about him, Trump was a historic figure, being non-politician, and I'm going to say what I want to say, and a lot of what he says is pretty funny. And I'm going to do what I think needs to be done, what people have been talking about for decades needs to get done. We're going to do it. Now, he can't do it all in 4 years. Like cut the waste, fraud, and abuse. I think J.D. Vance is doing a great job with that. I thought Elon Musk did a good job. I thought it was a fantastic idea. Problem is our debt is still high. We still have a high, multiple $1 trillion debt. Trump tried to temper that with tariffs. All right, you're charging us a boatload. Why aren't we charging you a fraction of that? And when he did, that got thrown out. Again, a lot of things have to go through Congress. So it's not that the idea was bad. It's just if the Supreme Court threw it out, it's on the technicality that an executive order has finite power and you need Congress to do certain things. And so, we'll see where things can go, but, he's in office, for, only a couple more years. And then who's going to take over? Is it going to be J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio? Usually the succession would be J.D. Vance, the vice president. But Marco Rubio over and over again looks to be more favored. Now, again, I think these polls are a bunch of BS, right? Ocasio-Cortez in New Hampshire leading Pete Buttigieg by only 1 point, but crushing the other candidates. Really, a President Ocasio-Cortez, Lord of mercy. I just don't believe the polls. But Republicans need to really do some heavy thinking, and Democrats have to do some real heavy thinking on who they're going to put up in 2028. And I think there's a lot of disarray. You don't have a clear favorite on the Democrat side. Kamala Harris was not liked. Right? Her answers were stupid. When Sonny Hostin on The View asked her, what would you do different from Biden's presidency? She goes, I can't think of anything. What she should have said, which was a very easy answer, and she should have prepared for a question like that. Obviously, unless they were really all in denial that Biden's presidency was so good. Maybe that's why. But you don't want to throw your boss under the bus. Your answer is, look, Joe Biden came into office in 2020. His set of priorities were COVID, the vaccine. Well, he came in 2021. I have the Russia-Ukraine war. I have X, Y, and Z. So obviously my presidency is going to be different because I need to hit the ground running on these issues. That could have been our answer. Wasn't going to be a satisfying answer, but it was better than, I can't think of anything. So she's not a superstar in the Democratic Party. Newsom looks like, he's really struggling as it pertains to California. People want answers. They want, their kids proficient in math. They want lower taxes. They want the homelessness resolved. That doesn't look like it's getting done. So he doesn't look like he's a favorite. Plus, a lot of other states are not really, he doesn't have the Ronald Reagan, pizzazz. And so, California used to be, California. Now it's a shame because I'm from California. I love California. I can't wait to move back. I love California. But unfortunately, it's not run well. Pete Buttigieg, nice guy, but what has he done to be president? On the Republican side, Trump was smart to make sure you saw J.D. Vance and all of these major meetings, being a part of a lot of the negotiations, a lot of what was done. Now running, as opposed to Kamala Harris being the border czar, which was a cluster in the 7th, J.D. Vance, he doesn't have to do the border because Trump did it in days. So he's doing the fraud and cracking down on fraud and working with the HHS. Good job. Keep it up. So he's getting stuff done. But he doesn't have the likability factor like Marco Rubio does. People like Marco Rubio. Plus, I think a lot of Republicans are like, they really want the Latino outreach. Marco Rubio would be our first Latino president. Bilingual, very good as it pertains to foreign policy. Because, we want a president that's smart economically, smart, and J.D. Vance can do that. But Marco Rubio has proven that he could really handle the foreign policy stuff too. So depending on who the Democrats put up there, I'll then tell you who I think would have a better chance to win. But if the Republicans are all concerned about the Latino vote, you're going to do really, really well with Marco Rubio up there. And I think he's a great candidate. J.D. Vance is a good candidate too, but very strong candidate. But, Marco Rubio is also very strong. So, we're moving closer to what we have. How many days left? 80, 79 or whatever to the midterms. And it's a big one because so much is getting stalled right now in Congress. If the power shifts to the Democrats, we're going to even have more stalling. And if Trump's executive orders are limited, in some cases they should be, in some cases they shouldn't, depending on what they are. You know, it's going to be it's going to be a rough couple years. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. I am going to tell you right now that you are going to hate this next segment, and you are going to hate me. But I got to give you the news. You're not going to like what I have to say on this. I don't even like it. I'm actually a little freaked out, thinking about going off air and getting another job as a result. But this article caught my eye on what nest egg do you need, based on where you live, what state you live, to retire comfortably. What should we be having in our retirement account, in our bank account, maybe equity in our home? What should we be having as a nest egg? And according to Investopedia, don't kill the messenger, they say a single American needs about $898,000 on average to retire comfortably, not at age 60 or 62. That's going to need more money, but at 65. You need close to $1 million on average. In some states, you need to be over $1 million. Now that's scary. Okay, I got some work to do. I got a lot of work to do. I told you guys, I don't have the retirement I should. And the reason why is I had a very small retirement account in residency. But when you're only averaging about $1.50 an hour and you're working 100-hour weeks, whatever the match is not going to get you to where you need to. So I have that small thing that's been very slowly growing. And then I immediately had kids, opened up my own practice, and then started paying off student loans. 9 years into opening up my practice, by 2009, because I opened in 2000, just when I'm like, okay, we're doing well, starting to get most of these student loans down, I could maybe now start putting money away to retirement, Obamacare happens. And money just started to not come in. The recession went on way into 2014, 2015, where patients didn't have health insurance, they couldn't pay their copays. And I never was able to put away into retirement like other people do if they work for another company, etc. I was able to pay off my student loans. I was able to get my kids to go to state college. So I'm really, really happy about that. And I even had one operation for cosmetic surgery. All right? Because I know y'all are like, man, she's going to need $1 million of cosmetic surgery. All I needed was a lift. I just did a lift. No implants, nothing. So when I look at that, not to mention all the money I used to help family members and extended family, I feel like overall I'm pleased, with how things went, except now I'm faced with what the hell am I going to do about retirement? And I am no way near where they say, ow, I need to be. I just bit my lip. See, bit my lip for the truth. So according to Investopedia, retiring at age 62 instead of 65 raises a single person saving target by more than 300 grand, while retiring at 60 raises it over 425. So whatever your state number is, and I'll read through them as quickly as I can. If you're going to retire a couple years earlier, add 300,000. If you're retiring 5 years earlier, add another 425 grand to that. A permanently smaller Social Security check from claiming early is causing you to lose about $190,000 on average. That's what they say. At age 65, $1 million will basically give you a comfortable retirement in 47 states. But at age 60, no, not enough. So, single American needs on average $898,000. If you move your retirement up to age 62, you better have $1.2 million. If you retire at age 60, you better have at least $1.3 million. Okay, you know what? I'm going to retire at 80, God willing. They say the average Social Security benefit for 62-year-olds runs $1,300 a month against $1,900 dollars compared to if you wait till 65. So in terms of states, okay, let me see. I live in Nevada. And so I need to have, okay, let me get rid of some of these pop-ups here. If I retire at 60 years old, I need 1.27 million. And if I retire at 60, if I retire at 62, I need 1.1 million. If I wait till 65, I only need a mere 847,000 in the bank. You know what I need? I need a sugar daddy. That's what I need. I don't have that. That's not going to be easy. I do have my medical antiques, but trust me, that is not, I can't sell those. I'll go back to Pawn Stars and see what I could sell. In California, you need average, age 65, 1 mil. If you're going to retire at age 60, 1.4 million, 62, 1.3. Oregon, what I'm going to just do is give your basic 65-year-old retirement number. Oregon, you need 880,000. Washington, you need 939,000 to retire at age 65. Montana, 739,000. Idaho, 735. Utah, at age 65, you need 805 grand. In Arizona, you need 813 grand. So why would Vegas be more expensive? Well, because we have a lot more to do for seniors and the gambling and things like that and the bingo. And so I think seniors play a little bit more, and golf a little bit more. We got a lot of cool golf. Wyoming, you need 773,000. Colorado, 878. New Mexico, 711 grand. For Texas, 777. Oklahoma, 677. Sorry about this. Kansas, 703 grand. Nebraska, 705 grand. South Dakota, 675. North Dakota, 644 grand. Minnesota, 818,000. Iowa, 667,000. Lord have mercy. Missouri, you need 704,000. Arkansas, 648,000. Louisiana, 670. Mississippi, 653. Tennessee, 684. Kentucky, 677. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was Kentucky. Yeah, Indiana. Sorry, I'm just going by what the states look like. Indiana, 711. Wisconsin, 751. Michigan, 747. Ohio, 725. Let's go down from Maine. 786, New Hampshire, 917 grand, Vermont, 830, Massachusetts, almost $1 million, Connecticut, almost $1 million, New York, almost $1 million, New Jersey, 1,018,000, Pennsylvania, 771. I'll hurry up with this. Maryland, 930 grand, West Virginia, really? Okay, West Virginia at 658,000, Virginia, 842. North Carolina, 742. South Carolina, 729. Georgia, 764. For you guys going to Florida, 858,000. So very similar to Nevada. Alabama, 687. Mississippi, 653. Georgia, 764. Hawaii, you better have, if you're going to retire in Hawaii, 1,016,000. And Alaska, 855,000. I got to be honest. I'm thinking about Alaska. I'm thinking about retiring in Alaska because I love snow. I love the animals. I love fishing. I love Alaska. And at least, so I have to come up with 855 grand. Not easy. I'll figure out what to do. So I hope I didn't skip a state. Did I do Illinois for y'all? I see Illinois sitting here. Yeah, 836,000. So I told you guys would not like this segment. I told you guys would be like, oh, Dr. Dahlia, you suck. So what do you do? Well, one of my issues was I had family who was usually poor, but the one time they weren't poor, they had gotten a little bit of someone died, so an inheritance, and they invested into the stock market, and then the stock market crashed in the late 80s, and then they lost most of it, although they think the manager mismanaged it or something. And it wasn't a lot. We were always poor, but that was supposed to be our big break. So I learned early on, I'm not going to mess with the stock market, right? And so retirement accounts, luckily, overall do good. And that's probably the main thing. But if you don't have an employer putting money into your retirement account, it's really hard for you to, do that. So start looking at, what you're doing now. But if you're thinking that 150 or 200,000 in the bank is going to be enough, according to this, no. Especially since we're living longer, God willing. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, don't go away.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out. All right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So we're being told by CNN that a record share of kindergartners have missed required vaccines last year. And they're blaming the Trump executive order that happened this year. Okay, so there's already a problem with that. And a concern I have that I've always had since a vaccine mandate was that parents, when you started to screw around with the COVID vaccine and freak people out about mandating that, which they did in 2021, that you would have parents saying, you know what, I don't trust now any of the vaccines. And I had predicted that would happen, and that would be a mess because I think we have a lot of really good childhood vaccines. But one issue parents are having is that there's so many. And we give more than Denmark, the UK, and other countries. So why do we give more vaccines? Is it because we're better? Is it because we really want to, we're doing such a good job stopping hepatitis and meningitis and all that? I think the vaccines are working, but they're not going to work if you break the camel's back. If you just, push parents too much. And you pushed them too much when schools started to consider the COVID vaccine. Parents are like, oh, hell no. Personally, I think the COVID vaccine is very, very good for those at high risk, but I don't think every kid needs the vaccine. So President Donald Trump signed an executive order giving parents more information and options. The vaccine requirements, that enforcement and that jurisdiction is still among the states. And so some states are like, well, tell what Trump says, we're still going to, mandate all of these. But you're having a lot of parents saying, pulling my kids out of school. I don't want my child to get 6 shots in the leg, every 2 months. And, as a physician, I always want to reevaluate what we're doing and make sure it's the safest thing. Personally, I think the polio vaccine was one of the best, inventions since sliced bread. Polio scared the hell out of me. That paralysis was not reversible. And so, thank God, we have the polio vaccine. Having a family member who died of tetanus, I'm really glad we have the tetanus shot. I'm glad we have the hepatitis vaccine. Chickenpox was horrific. It was horrible. Kept people out of work. Kids were miserable. I'm glad we could vaccinate. Does everybody, need to be vaccinated for everything? No. But the reason why these vaccination programs start to be so universal is if you don't have people getting chickenpox, if you have so many people getting vaccinated, chickenpox won't have a chance to circulate. When parents say, but I want my kids to get chickenpox naturally, I'm mixed on that because I do think natural immunity is very, very important. On the other end, the chickenpox natural immunity can hit you with shingles later. And so for those of us that were like, whew, I got chickenpox naturally, so I didn't have to get the vaccine. Now what are we doing? We're getting the shingles vaccine because shingles is scary. So I support the vaccines we have, but I also support parents who say, look, can I spread them out? Do I have to get so many? If I'm worried about side effects, where can I read to learn about this? Because the messaging is the side effects are rare. The chance that your child is going to get an encephalitis or a neurodegenerative disease or die from it is 1 in a million. Well, to a parent, they're like, things happen to us 1 in a million all the time. So we're that unlucky. So what Trump did is his executive order looked at the types of vaccines, and he advised that there would be 3 categories of the vaccines. Those that, should be encouraged, those that should be there for the parents if they need to, or the child's high risk, and those again more optional. So he recommends in his executive order, based on the HHS and doctors, this wasn't just him, saying all children are recommended to receive vaccines for MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, Hib, Haemophilus influenza B, pneumococcal disease, HPV, human papillomavirus, and varicella, chickenpox. The high-risk populations, they recommend getting the RSV, monoclonal antibodies and vaccines against hepatitis A, hepatitis B, meningococcal B, meningococcal ACWY, and dengue. This is a little bit of a change where they're actually adding more, but recommends that all children, receive most of these or the high-risk populations. And then shared decision-making. If you really, really want rotavirus, the other meningitis vaccine, influenza, and COVID, it's between you and your doctor. I see nothing wrong with this recommendation. In fact, I think it's going to actually help pediatricians and the vaccine movement. Because parents are like, I like that we have a voice. Now, the administration suggests that the immunizations be given over several medical visits to give parents more options regarding the timing and frequency. A lot of parents are really nervous about their one-day-old getting the hepatitis vaccine in the hospital. We give them the vitamin K so they don't bleed out in case they do have a bleeding disorder. But with the hepatitis, the reason why we would give the hepatitis to a one-day-old is the series was at birth, then at 1 month or 2 months, and then at the 6-month mark. So it made it easier, for the pediatricians, because then they would finish with that by the 6-month-old age of the baby. And in case mom had hepatitis, the baby would have protection. Now, we test all moms for hepatitis. However, some who come to the hospital never having prenatal care could have hepatitis. So they start the vaccine for prevention early. Do some parents not want their child at 1 day old getting a vaccine? Yep. So if they want to put that off, they should have the choice. If they don't have hepatitis, the kid's not being exposed to hepatitis. So, I want kids to be able to get vaccinated and get the vaccines they need, but I want the parents to be able to have some voice to it. So, they're blaming Trump and they're saying, oh my God, these kids that are going to, we have been seeing parents pull their kids out of school. I live in Southern Nevada. In Clark County, the numbers of enrollees have dropped. And that's been going on since COVID. It's not because people are moving out. More people are homeschooling. That's been going on for years. So the articles are going to try to twist it, meaning, well, that's Trump and his new vaccine recommendation. But in fact, I think parents are going to be a little bit more open to discussions about the vaccines. So if the pediatricians look, I really, really want your child, in addition to all of these that Trump recommends, I really want your child to get the rotavirus vaccine. Good. Talk to me about that. They could still get the vaccines. They're still going to be there. The one thing that I don't know if it's going to be successful is Trump wants the MMR vaccine split into 3. And the reason why is there were side effects when the MMR was added to chickenpox, so they had to stop it. So his thinking is if the MMR is such a concern, as parents are really, really worried about autistic-like, even though we don't think vaccines cause autism, many of these anecdotal reports are suggesting an autism-like or neurodegenerative issue after some of the vaccines. If parents are really worried, he says, split the MMR up into 3. That could be a little more difficult because now you're adding 3 more shots. That now you're tripling the MMR series. But I get why he's saying, look, if you're immune to mumps and rubella, but you're not immune to measles, because this measles outbreak is also affecting immunized people, why not just give you the measles dosing? Why do we have to give you the whole MMR? So that was his thinking behind that, which some people are like, that makes some sense. For me, I think that might be a little too complicated because already parents don't like going in for a lot of shots. 1-877 Dr. Ollie, don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA1. That's 800-JBS-USA1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA1 today.